Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Chahak Sharma, and so today I'm gonna start with the current problems of economics. Okay, so let's get started. So in the world that we are living, and we are living in a complicated world. For instance, because we have different continents with us, and between the continents there are water bodies and many more things. Okay, so, in economics perspective, or in the economics point of view, we have to, need to know what is the current challenges that is world facing. Okay. Now, first of all, when we get to know that what are the current challenges that the world is facing, the first and foremost thing is poverty. It is the first and foremost problem in not in India but in the world also, because poverty is the root cause of all problems. Because if you are poor, you can't afford a good education, a good lifestyle for you, a good livelihood. You are not happy, even though, because it is not the main point of happiness, but it is a type of indicator of happiness also. So in this context we need to know the poverty, and let's discuss what is poverty. So when we thought that what is poverty is something that we can't make our needs that are essential for us and for living. So what are the criteria of the essential things that we have to be, you know hold on to that? So the first one is house, and the second one is clothes, food, shelter, and in today's world the important criteria is also for educational and health also. So these are to included in the World Economic Forum, I guess. So these are the five parameters that one can be assessed that he is poor or not. Okay, so in poverty we have to understand there are types of poverty. Okay, for example, there is very poor, there is poor, there is poor less than poor, and there is non poor. Okay, so there is something, a term called relative poverty. Relative poverty means that we are poor, but we are meeting the basic needs of our life. We have food, shelter, and we have basic clothing, we have education, we have infrastructure, we have health, but we are not basicing the need of income with the relative competitive of ourselves. For example, guess in simple terms that India is a developing country. Okay, now when we compare ourselves with USA or China, so we are relatively poor, but we are not that poor, but we are relatively poor. Okay, and we can say in micro level also that for example, in your neighborhood there are five houses. Okay, your neighborhood have, locality, and your house, you are relatively richer than your alternative house, and these alternative house are relatively poor than you. So this is called relatively poor, but they are not actual poor. Okay, so categorizing of poor, like chronic poor. So what are chronic poor? Chronic poor, those who are always and those who are usually poor. Landless workers. Okay, they are always poor. Okay, usually, generally they are poor. For example, landless workers, they have to go for work, they didn't get a work in a year or something. So these are chronic poor. Now the second one is transient poor. So transient poor is the poor that their graph of poverty or poverty line is shifted as a V shape. Okay, sometimes they might not be poor, sometimes they poor, sometimes they have resources and sometimes don't. So these are kind of transient poor. Okay, now never poor, they are above the poverty line. Okay, so these are the categorizations. Now we have to find the poor in rural and urban poor also. Okay, okay. Now we have to categorize poor in urban as well as rural poor. Okay, so what is the definition of rural poor? These includes landless agricultures. Okay. Okay, so let me make it simple for you. So you are living in a city, and agriculture, some farmers are agriculture fielding their field, okay, but didn't have their own field. So if the landlord comes and evacuate them from the place, so these are landless poor. But if they are working, so they are not poor, they comes in the process of transient poor. Okay, so I hope you understand what I'm saying. Now, what are urban poors? Urban poors are largely spill over the rural poor who are forced to mitigate in search of jobs. Okay, now in our India, which which country? Sorry, India is a country. Okay, which state in the country of India has the largest workforce that mitigate from other places? This is Bihar. Okay, so these are the laborers that mitigate from their places to search of their work. Okay, so these are urban poor, we can say that. Now, have you thought that what is the cause of poverty? Poverty is it is a challenging situation or challenging problem that we are facing in the world today, not in absolute terms but in relative terms also. So what are the causes of it? Now, low level of nation product. Okay, so in low level of nation product, what does it mean? That our nation does not generating that much output that it should be. Okay, the GDP, the gross domestic product, that we also discusses in our earlier classes. So this is the thing that we have to work upon. Now the second one is low rate of growth. Okay, so if the GDP is low, then the growth is obviously it is low. Now, heavy pressure of population. Yes, if the resources are limited and the optimum utilization of that resources is not met because of the large population size, then the resources will not distribute equally. Okay, and with limited resources we have that much population, so it is the limitation of resources that the large population will suffer. So this is the thing. And inflationary pressures, this is also a cause, because when the prices are so high, then the population is not afford to work upon the prices. Okay, now chronic unemployment and underemployment. Okay, now what is meant by chronic unemployment? Chronic unemployment refers to the employment which generally happens in our country of that are not producing that much output. For example, chronic unemployment refers to the types of seasonal unemployment, when there is no work for the farmers or for the, now the graduates also they are not working at all, because there is so much population and so much competition that they didn't find any work that worth for them. Okay, so this is, and underemployment is refers to the employment that the workforce that we have is not that required, so this is underemployment. Okay, now capital deficiency. um if you are a student of commerce, you know that capital deficiency is the amount of capital that is required for the country, but we have not that much capital in our country. Okay, so this is capital deficiency. And outdated social institutions. Okay, so in our country we have outdated social institutions. For example, we have not that much technology that we have needed in our society as well, and there are the institutions that are working upon, they are made upon the old themes. And like education also, it is depend upon the old system of education that we need to change, because the world is changing and technology should be updated. Okay, now lack of infrastructure, it is the root cause of the outdated technology that we have. And measures to remove poverty. So in the country itself we have to know the measures to remove poverty, and it is begin not as the not as the grassroots root level, but as the macro level also. Okay, so combating poverty by accelerating the pace of economic growth. Okay, combating inequality of income through fiscal and legislative measures, and combating poverty through population control, other measures enhancing quality of life of the poor. So there are many government schemes that we have, and government is still trying to curb the poverty, but we, from the ancient to the medieval, we have a shift from the economic resources, and from medieval to modern there is so much you know income distribution or income inequality. And from post independence to 19 2000, I guess, there is a much shift in the poverty also. But nowadays the economy is growing, and we hope so that we have a better demographic dividends, and we have a better income equality in our country. So this is the thing that took up poverty. And I guess I have to name some poverty alleviation programs that are some of the principal measures adopted by the government to remove poverty are given below. So Sampurna Gramin Rojgar Yojana, and these are very important for you, and I guess you are sitting with your pen and a notebook. Okay, now Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana, the Swaran Jayanti Shahari Rozgar Yojana, Jay Prakashi Rozgar Guarantee Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Okay, so this Manrega is much important, and we need to cover the Manrega in a separate video. And so this is very important, and I think you have to solve some case studies also for this chapter, because it is very important to know the themes and conditions of the concerned article. Okay, so in the poverty we need to know what is poverty, types of poverty, and poverty in relation to chronic, transient, and never. Okay, and what is rural urban divide, also poverty line, the criteria of the poverty line that is in the context. And what left, the measures to remove poverty and the causes of it. Okay, so we need to cover all this, and you have to prepare a well prepared notebook. And the data in this chapter, the data, figures, and the graphs, trends are also very important, so you can't miss that also. Okay, so I think this is it, and I hope you like this lecture. For further queries, comment in the comment section below, and please guys promote my channel. Okay, this is an initiative. I'm doing this because teaching is my passion. I like to teach, so please contribute and please share this video as much as you can. Okay, if you like it, and I hope you liking. So thank you. Bye bye.